Alright, everyone, welcome back to the 30-day scripting challenge. It is the end of week 2, in this case it's day 14, and it's honestly looking pretty solid. We've got a lot of fundamentals and things down already, and it's looking pretty nice. So day 14 is pretty interesting. Day 14 is an arena system, and what that means is there's gonna be our lobby, and then there's also going to be our arena, and we're going to teleport the players from our lobby to our arena once enough players have readied up, as they say, and then the arena's mini game will start. So it's a fairly simple mechanic to make, and we'll get into that. Right now. So when we're making this arena system, right, we first want to go through the initiation part. So we want to know when the player has readied up. In this case, we'll connect that to this. Button over here. So let's first go on ahead and add ourselves a local script inside of our starter GUI or whatever local storage that you like. And this will be our arena client. Now, usually with the service-based hybrid framework that I'm using here, with this shared folder with the modules and services, you would have the client like things happening in a module as well. But I'm not really going to go into the client-sided portion of services because I think it's just a tad bit too annoying to make, but it is very beneficial in the long term here. So when we start with our arena, we first want to get our arena UI. And I forgot to mention the setup I did before this video. I made 3 UI elements here, a ready button, a little like timer info thing here, and then I also made this players ready, like this main message console, and then I made our arena here that has 4 different spawn points the player can be teleported to. So without further ado, I guess. I don't know why people say that. I don't know what that means. I probably do, I'm just stupid. Let's get into this. So in the arena client here, we want to reference our UI here, which I put in this frame called arena info. So we'll, I deleted the script on accident. I meant to delete the print hello world thing. Okay, so we'll grab our arena info frame. So local arena info frame is going to equal to script.parent.main.GUI.arena.info. And then from here we'll get our ready button, players ready, and then I didn't rename this one. This will just be called time. So we'll say local ready button is going to equal to arena info frame dot ready button, and then local players ready is going to equal to arena info frame dot players ready, and then local time is going to equal to arena info frame dot time. So these are going to be all of the UI elements we're going to update. And to any professional scripters who might watch this video, who notice that my formatting here, it's not a camel case like it has been. I'm currently fighting with myself if I should stick to camel case or not, because when I use require autocomplete, all of the variables are not in camel case. So I'm just trying some things out here. So anyways, we're also going to want to communicate with our server, but just for the client here, we want to check when the ready button has been clicked here. So ready button dot activated connect function, and then our input object doesn't entirely matter. In this case, in our listener here, we'd want to tell the server that we have readied up and that we want to be placed inside of the queue to be put in the arena. So we would fire a remote event to the server. In this case, in our remotes folder right here, we're just going to make a remote event, and this will be called join or ready up. We'll call it ready up right here. So we'll grab replicated storage in case we need it, and then we'll say local ready up is going to equal to replicate storage dot shared dot remotes dot ready up. And then here we could just say ready up fire server. Right. Now the good thing is we won't have to have any additional checks after that, because the UI will turn invisible when the player gets in the arena, and I'll talk more about that in a second here. So let's go over to our server, into our services, and make ourselves a module script and call it arena service right here, and we'll just set it up real quickly. Alright, so we've got our init and start looking good here. And now we're just going to, in our colon start here, we're going to want to wait for when our ready up remote has been fired. So let's grab replicated storage here. And we're also going to get the remote event. So local ready up is going to equal to, actually we don't even need replicated storage. It doesn't even matter here. We can just say script.parent remotes.ready up, and it'll grab that for us here. Alright, so now in our initialize function right here, we're going to want to store a couple of important values. So we first want to know if our game is running or not, and then we also need to know how many players are in the queue. So we can simply just say self.gameRunning is by default going to equal to false. We don't want the game to be running instantly without any players. And then self.queuedPlayers is just going to be an empty table, because we're going to have the players' user IDs stored in this table here to show if enough players have readied up or not. Okay, now our colon start. So let's add our listener for the ready up thing here. So we can just say ready on server event colon connect function. Now in this case, this isn't a the script shouldn't be required by the client, so we're just going to add an attribute called run context. In this case, it'll be server here, so only the server will require this. And then now, once you have the on server event going here, we're going to run some checks here. So we're first going to verify that the game is running, like the game isn't running. So we know that there's not a mini game already. So if not game, so if the game is not running, and the player is not inside of the queued players table, so and not self dot, or actually we can change stuff. So if not self dot game running, then so if the game isn't running, we're gonna have two different conditions here. If the player has clicked the ready up button and then they want to unready up, or if they haven't clicked it and they want to ready up. So we'll check if not self dot queued players, and then I forgot the players passed in here by default. Then, so if they could not find the player, we'll just say self dot queued players, player will equal to the player here, right? And then else, if they could not find it, then, or well, if they did find it, we're gonna set it to nil. So we remove them from the readied up list. It'll be nil like that. So let's add some print statements here just for debugging. So in this case, print player joined, and then we'll add a print player left here. So let's go on ahead and give it a small little debugging thing going on here. So we'll just click ready, player joined, and then I click it again and it'll say player left. Player joined, player left. And so it'll add me or it'll not add me to the queue. Now, if we want to make some nice visuals here, we can actually turn this into a remote function. In this case, it'll send back a value to the client. So in this case, I could say local queue status. In this case, it'll return in queue or not in queue, and we can have it change the button based on if it is or isn't in the queue. So I could do that real quickly. So then we change it to on server invoke, and then we would return in, and then below that here we could return out, or in this case we could return 1 to represent in, or whatever. So and then also we have to change this to invoke server. So now we could just check if status is to in, then we'll set our button to like green or something. So we'll just say ready button dot background color 3 will equal to color 3 dot from RGB, and then we'll have it be this like green here, and then we'll just say else ready button dot not ready up ready button dot background color 3 will equal to color3.from RGB. Always use from RGB, not .new, because the values are nicer. And then it'll just be white. And I forgot you can't do colon connect. You have to do is equal to function. I forgot about that. Whoops. And then fix that up. There we go. So now it'll work. So if I click this, then it'll change to green and then back to gray when the player isn't ready. And then in this case, we could set the text to we could change the text to be like that. So that's for the client side on adding them into the queue or not. And that is the one part of the code. Now the other part is going to be a listener. It's not a listener, sorry. It's going to be a like passive check, right? So each time the ready up button is clicked, we're going to add the player into this queued players table, right? And then we're gonna have a listener in the background that'll wait until this queued players table is full. So what the first step that I'll do is I'm gonna make a helper function here too, because we're having this be a dictionary. We're not using a table for all of the players. I'll talk about getting the size of a dictionary. It's very important here. We're going to use a helper function, so it'll just be local function get size, and then our dictionary. And all we would do is for underscore in dictionary do, and then we'll just say count is going to equal to 0, count plus equals 1, return count right after. And it'll be a little helper function to get the size of a dictionary. So here we're simply just going to say local. So we want to make sure the size of the dictionary is equal to the amount of players in the game. So we'll run that check here. So we'll say self.players and then we don't even need to create a thing here. We can just say if if get size, and then we'll send in self.queuedPlayers is equal to game.players get players number. So actually I should add a thing here, because this is inside of the listener. I forgot there's returns here, so anything after that won't run. So we'll say local status is going to equal to nil, and then instead of saying return here, we're just going to say status will equal to in, and then in this case we'll say status will equal to out, and then right here we'll say return status, and I'll put that here. Okay, fix that there. So now this get size will, I don't know why that put do there for some reason. So pretty much if the size of queued players is equal to the number of players in the game, then we're going to say self.game running will equal to true, and then else, we don't even need to add an else here. So now game running is going to equal to true, right, until all of that. And then we can also return a ton of information in here. So we can return the total number of players in the game. So in this case here, we can set the text up here to be players ready, and then we'll have the status thing. It'll be a table, and inside it'll be a dictionary actually. So status and then queue, and then we'll do that here. So that way we can store other information inside of the dictionary, like the amount of players in the game here. So else, we're simply just going to say, and then we'll put here status, and then in this case this will be players is going to equal to the number of game.players get players. So now we can go status and then queue here, and then a status and then queue here, so it'll check in and out as well as the total number of players. So we can add that below here. So we'll change the text of our players ready. So it doesn't even have to be here actually. This is just for the queue check. So then we can just say players ready dot text is going to equal to players ready colon And also we need the current players ready. So we'll send in the total number of readied up players too. So status and then ready is going to equal to get size and then self dot the queued players here. In this case will be status, and there we go. So that should now work out here. So that's the wrong one. We click the ready button here, and okay, that's why we use pairs. That is not why we use pairs, actually. Okay, gotta debug the error here. Okay, yeah, that was the issue. I just didn't have a check here, so if there's not a dictionary, I'll just return 0. So that'll work now. So if we click the ready button here, it's going to say ready, and then it'll say, oh, I forgot that was a damage thing there. It'll say, and actually the UI reset there, disable reset on spawn for the arena frame there. For the arena UI, I didn't even know that. That probably was from the thing, actually. So we do this, and then the player explodes. So now if the player looks at it again, then it doesn't undo it. Ah, I see. The issue is that it's not gonna return anything because when the player readies up, game running is equal to true. So we have to have a timer here to start before game running will equal to true. So that way, if the player wants to, or actually the player won't be able to leave. Once the timer starts, the match will begin, so they can't unready up. So in this case, we're just gonna set it to no. So then we're gonna just check in this here. In here, we're gonna do one other check. We'll say if status ready is equal to status players, then we're just going to set ready button dot visible will equal to false, and then we'll have it equal to true at the start here. Or actually no, we'll have it somewhere else. This statement here. So now in this case, when I press ready, then it'll disappear, and then it'll say players ready 1 out of 1. So now what we can do is we could initialize the timer to start ticking down and then teleport the player over. In this case, we're going to use the timer module that we made in one of the previous videos. This timer thing here. So in our arena service here, we're going to grab, we'll just say local timer module is going to equal to require script.parent modules.timer. And now this kind of contradicts the idea of having this colon in it thing, but this is because I'm like super tired and stuff. So now we're going to run our timer. So in the timer server here, all we did was just created the timer, and then it would start ticking down, and then we would tell the client to start ticking down on their visual end here. So we're going to copy this exact same stuff here, pretty much. So I'm going to copy this code, and inside of our arena service here, we're going to, and then this I can delete here because we're not going to need to do that. So we're going to create a 15-second timer, and then when the timer is finished, we'll teleport all the players to the arena. So now on the client here, we just want to send the duration because we don't need an adjustment. And as a matter of fact, we can pretty much copy this as well from the timer video, but I'll not do that right now. So our arena client actually can just go into the arena info frame here, and we can also add a little thing in here for the timer receiving end here. So actually no, I shouldn't, because my variables got screwed up. We'll have a little listener here to check when we get the arena timer. So we'll say replicate storage dot shared dot remotes dot child added connect function, and then we're gonna check if the add is a remote event, and a dot name is going to equal to arena timer. I put the capital I there. Then so if it's a remote event and it's same as arena timer, then what we're gonna do is we're going to visually start the thing. So we're gonna grab timer service, the timer module, from here as well. So just say local timer module going to equal to replicate storage dot shared dot modules dot timer, and then here we're going to say local timer is going to equal to timer module. What even was the function? Timer module dot start timer. I didn't put a require here. That's why. So the timer module dot start timer, and then our duration. Actually, we need to do the thing. So add dot on client event colon connect function, and then the duration here. We'll send in the duration, and then in this case, we do want the text label to change, so we'll send in the time label and then our callback here, which I don't think we're gonna need for the client. Actually, we probably do, so I'll keep it there. So now what should happen is it should start a timer. It should start ticking a timer here, or actually, yeah, it should. So you can see 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 1 second, and there we go. So what we can also do is we can have the text change as well. And we'll set the, actually, it's a little extra detail that some people might not need. So when the timer is finished, we'll just set it to visible in invisible. So time.visible will equal to false. And then, actually no, we won't change it because we'll use it for the arena timer. We'll just say players ready.text will be current match. And then we'll have another timer running that will be for when the arena match is done. So over here and back in our arena service, now that we have this game running is gonna, I'll delete this task that way, I don't know why that's there. We're gonna teleport all of the players to the arena. So in this case, we'll just say local arena is going to equal to workspace dot arena. Actually, I probably should just say spawns workspace.arena.spawns colon get children, and then we're going to say we're going to get all the spawns and teleport each player to a random spot. So _spawn in spawns do. What we're going to do is we're literally just going to get all the players, and actually we need to do the players first. So for _player in self.queued players do, and then we'll do this spawn loop. So we'll get the player's character here. So local character is going to equal to game.players colon, or actually we can just say player.character in this case. So we're just gonna pick a random spawn here. We don't even need to loop through the spawns, actually. We'll just select a random spawn. So local chosen spawn is going to equal to math.random, or actually no, it'll just be spawns and then math.random 1 to the number of spawns. So it'll pick a random spawn point inside of the spawns thing here. And then in this case, we're just going to set the character dot primary part dot position will equal to the chosen spawn dot position, and then plus vector 3 dot new, and we'll put them like 3 studs in the air. So let's go give this a quick test here, and it is not teleporting us. Okay, so let's change the logic here. I'm thinking to something like if the character exists. So if character.primary part, then we'll say like character colon set primary part C-frame instead of, or should we not? I think that's deprecated. We can just say pivot to, and then we'll just create a new C-frame here, and that should maybe work. So let's give that a try. Alright, yeah, there we go. It worked. It teleported us to a random spawn point. Alright, so that's good. So now I just fixed it to pivot to. So it'll now teleport the player to the arena. And then we now need to, so this function is going to be a callback. It'll send all the players ready to go. Now we'll run the actual logic of our, like the handling of our game. So we'll make another function here. So local function run match. So when this loop is done, actually I don't even think we need to use a local function. We'll just handle the logic right here. We're going to make another timer for the game here. So we'll say local match timer is going to equal to timer module dot start timer, and then it'll be maybe like 30 seconds, and then I put an S there on accident. So now here we're going to send the players back. So when the timer is finished, we're going to say for _player in self, or actually yeah, player in self dot queued players do. We're just going to say self dot queued players is going to equal to nil. So it'll clear all of them from the readied up list. Then once it's done that, we're going to set game running to equal to false. And then we're going to teleport all the players back to the lobby. So we'll say, actually no, we'll do game running. It'll go outside here, and then I need to, whoa. And then we'll set the player's character position to the spawn point. So player.character, and then we'll do this exact same logic here. So we'll do player.character pivot to, and then workspace.spawn, which is like the lobby position here. So you replace this with the position of the lobby, like spawning area where you would want that. And then now we then send over to the client. We'll put this actually. So in this case, actually, to make this, we'll just like set this to be like message. We'll have a value pass called message. So we want the duration and then the message to pass as well. So in this case, it'll be a string. And then we'll run this again, pretty much. So we'll copy this and we'll put up here. Actually, this usually should go in the init here, but that's fine. I won't do that for now. So we'll then send that here. So we'll say send timer remote fire all clients, and then the time in this case is 30 seconds, and then in this case we don't need this one, so the one here should say game started, and then the message here should say time, or it'll say like current match or something like that, right? So now on here the timer is gonna actually, this should say current match, and then this should say game finished, something like that. So now let's go give this a try here. Let's press ready, and then the timer will tick down. Okay, now where it says current match here, and we are in the arena, and the timer is ticking. Well, actually, if you go in shift lock into like zoomed in like this, it looks so cool, right? So anyways, right, it's a current match. We are 10 seconds into the match. 3, 2, 1, and then it says game finished, and we are teleported out. Now all we have to do is reset the system, and then we'll be good to go for the rest of the loop here. So this is already like kind of reset. It's now just the client visually that we want to, and then in this case we'll have a thing here called reset. So I put a boolean in here called reset, which is a value where if we want the timer to finish, to reset the match. So in this case, because it'll say game finished, we'll have resets equal to true, and this is to start the match, so we don't want it to reset. So if it resets, then we're just gonna undo all of the like permanent things we did. So we'll just say ready button dot visible will equal to true, and as a matter of fact, we'll probably wait a second before we do all this. We'll give it like maybe 1 second, right? And then we'll put a task.wait 1 second right here, in which case then we're going to say not ready button, but the players ready.text is going to equal to players ready. Right, now one other thing that I fear that I like ran over here was that this will only update if the button is clicked on the client, not for all of the clients. So we'd want to tell all the clients to update the thing. So we'll make a remote event here. Actually, no, I'm not going to skip that part here. We're going to make a remote event to tell all the players to update the UI once this has been fired. So on server invoke, right, we'll have our status. We'll put a remote event to the client here, so I'll just put it in there because I'm like lazy, but you would run some security checking here, or you would use like a GUI service like thing, like what's it called, a GUI service custom module right there, but that's fine, I'm not gonna do that. So script dot parent dot remotes update UI fire all clients, and we're going to send in the status here, and we're going to go to the say replicate storage dot shared dot remotes dot update UI dot on client event connect function, and then the status, which is a table, and we're going to put this right here. We're going to say if status then. So that should work now. If I comment out this line, it should now adjust the UI here. Yeah, perfect. So let's go test this out with multiple players, and we can do that by going to this test thing here and say local server 2 players, and then click start here, and it will open up three new windows actually. One is the server, and then the other two are clients. So let me go on ahead here and make this a little bit easier to see here, right? So we have players, this is the default UI, right, that I have set, and then you can hardly see that ready button. So if I click the ready button here, right, it'll change it to say players ready 1 out of 2. And it also does that on my screen. But the timer still isn't moving down because not enough players are ready to start the game. So now if on this side I also click ready, if I can click the button, then it'll say players ready 2 out of 2, and then the timer will start ticking down. Also I can shoot him, look. So if you look on my other screen, I killed the cool little gun thing. So now it's going to teleport both of us to the arena here, and then also the UI kind of broke because I killed the player. So it says current match, 20 seconds right here. So now I can like shoot my other account, and then the health UI didn't reset. So that's a bug that I found out about actually. I'll fix that later. That's not related to it's not related to this. Well, actually no, it did. Oh, what's it called? And there we go. So once the timer ran out, it sent us back to the thing where now I can press ready again to go back to the players ready thing here. I just have to fix the resetting, and then you press this cleanup button here and it will destroy everything for you. So I will have reset on spawn enabled for this main GUI here, but you shouldn't do that for all your GUIs. I'm only going to do this so that way the health will reset, and then also our UIs will reset, because for some reason they're breaking every time the player dies, which I have no idea why. So then also back to our client, we want to get the UI color to change properly. So we'll have it we'll have this as well for the ready button here. And that's it. We're good to go for our arena system. It's pretty lightweight because it's a very light system. It's pretty bare bones here. There's not much going on, as well as like security wise too. There's a lot of security things that you could do. Like you should definitely put your remote event creation inside the init function instead of doing it all like outside here, or just like pre-doing it. I like to create my remote events in the init function, but some people do it differently. But that's it for the arena system. This is, I think, a little bit longer, but all the videos are going to get longer from here. So that's it for this one. Thank you. I'm like yawning a lot. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in week 3. We're finished with week 2. Isn't that crazy? Alright, bye-bye.